Welcome to episode 16 of Fizzy's Wacky World of Wrestling. My name is William Fizzpatrick, and you might have noticed I'm wielding a baseball bat this week. There's a very good reason for that. Yes, apparently if you've been living under a rock for the last couple of weeks and wondering exactly what the hullabaloo is about wrestling this time around, we'll get to that at the end segment of the show. Here's a hint. It's about Money in the Bank. But before we get to that travesty of a show, well, let me introduce you to my co-host, Sal Cusmano.
Hey, everybody. And yes, WWE Money in the Bank was so bad this week, I took a break from it. We'll get into it later. But before then, we have two different shows to talk about because I figured, why give any more attention than necessary to this company, who has given me nothing but pain for so long?
Yep, lots and lots of pain and agony and whatnot, which is typical of the 7 levels of hell that is WWE. And, well, our two shows for today will each be bringing something different to the table. We have a trip to the Fairgrounds. I went to a local indie show this past Saturday, and Sal watched this Tuesday's
CMLL Show, which was such a blast.
So which one do we want to talk about first? Do you want to go with your CMML show?
Actually, no, I'm actually really curious to hear more about your indie show, Fizz.
Oh, okay. Well, for those of you in the Jamestown, New York, Buffalo, New York, Erie, Pennsylvania, Western New York, Western Pennsylvania area, you are in for a treat today, folks, because I get to talk about a local independent wrestling show that I went to this past Saturday, June 17th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This show was Southern Tier Wrestling Battle-lines from the Frewsburg Firemen's Grounds in Frewsburg, New York. Look that up on a map, folks, because this is kind of important to the story. To start off with, I got tickets very much at the very last second for this show. I got them on a Friday, the day before the show. I had to go look at a couple different places to go find the tickets because they had 4 different ticket venues. The first one was sold out of tickets. The second one was closed, which was the fire department. The third place was a sports shop that was also closed for the day because it was after 6 o'clock in the evening. And finally, as luck would have it, I stopped in at a pizza parlor that's right next to the Fireman's Grounds, and they had tickets. So I got 2 general admission tickets for both me and my mother, and the day afterwards, we headed down to Frewsburg, New York. Now, for those who are unfamiliar with Frewsburg, New York as a town, it is a little hamlet, and this show in particular was a benefit for the Frewsburg Fire Department. They run these benefit shows every so often. It is usually a rock show or some kind of festival, and this was during their 3-day festival event, which is known as Old Homes Week. Yeah, so this wrestling show was the first time that they have done wrestling at the Fairgrounds in quite a long time. So this Battle-lines show was actually really packed to the gills. I have counted on here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 matches total for this card.
Damn. Well, at least you're getting your money's worth.
Oh, yes, certainly, because the tickets were general admission were $10.
That's about a match per buck. Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah. And front row tickets were only $20.
Damn.
So you're getting your money's worth if you're a professional wrestling fan on the independent level on this particular show. And we have a couple of notes about this one. First, it was in a giant orange, yellow, and white striped tent, which really added to the wonderful aesthetic that this was a wrestling show in a fairgrounds.
Kind of makes me think of like old-timey, like early days of wrestling.
Yeah,
when they used to do it in the fair.
Exactly, and this felt like a throwback. This felt like I was back in the 1920s watching a wrestling show and watching wrestlers compete in a wrestling ring, and it was just so cool to me. So we got our tickets. We were a general admission. We ended up in second row, and we got a perfect vantage point because there was a couple of kids sitting in front of us, so we could actually see the ring. And for my mother, who's very short, this was a blessing. Because last time she went to an independent wrestling show, this would be Southern Tier Wrestling's Gold Rush show that happened on April 1st, which was in the frigid Jamestown, actually now Northwest Savings Bank Ice Arena, which was frigid. Which is the second point that I'll be making here on this broadcast. The Ice Arena is a freezing cold facility that is, the average warm temperature is about 25 degrees.
Of course. Seriously, as someone who used to play hockey, that's what you expect when you walk into a rink.
Yes, an ice arena. Now, by contrast, the Frewsburg Firemen's Grounds, and this is an important note about Frewsburg. Frewsburg is located right in the middle of a swamp.
Oh.
So, the humidity was rather high, and the temperatures were about 85 degrees.
Please tell me you stay hydrated.
Yes.
Thank God.
I bought some sodas for both me and my mom as we were watching this show.
Good, because, yeah, that sounds rough.
Yeah, 85 degrees. Thankfully, there was a fan and there was AC at the show, but they did have to randomly turn the thing off because they needed to use power for both the microphones and the sound system.
Yeah.
The miracles of jury rigging. On an independent wrestling budget, you have to do what you can to make sure that equipment works.
Yeah.
So what happened is that on these 9 matches on the show, we ended up getting there, and at 1:05 p.m., which in Indy pro wrestling terms is actually starting early because the bell time was at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
The show got rolling. And the heat and humidity was one of the biggest stories of this show besides the great matches, because wrestlers had to compete in these absurdly hot temperatures that I'm certain that they weren't really all that familiar with because they never had worked in Frewsburg before.
Yeah.
In Jamestown, you have a cross breeze. In the Firemen's Grounds, it's basically a giant center crater. Which goes down. The town is up above like about 5 feet, 5 to 10 feet up in the air. And the Fireman's Grounds is like right in the swamp area. So essentially you're not getting much of a cross breeze. Although thankfully they opened up the sides of the tent so that you could actually get air in.
Yeah.
The negative of that was, well, there were plenty of people watching that may or may not have actually paid a ticket.
Yeah, that's... Come on, people. Pay a ticket and support your local indies,
Oh, certainly, and the prices were reasonable, even though that on the days of the show, they did have a $3 price increase.
Yeah. Was it sold out?
The first couple of rows were full, but rows 4 and 5 were kind of empty. There were like maybe 5 people in each row.
How many people total would you say were there?
I would say between about 105 to about 120 people.
Oh, that ain't terrible.
Yeah, especially for a small show like this, which is it's a charity show for the Frewsburg Fire Department. It's not going to be a massive show, but there was a lot of people there.
Yeah.
And, considering how many people they had to fit into this circus tent, for me, I have a little bit of an issue with crowds. Like, it's a minor crowd phobia, but it wasn't too bad. I really didn't have any issues with this particular show. One, because I'm in the countryside. I love being in the countryside. I'm one of the few wrestling fans that generally enjoys going out on nature hikes. And understanding concepts like trees and the sun, not, holding himself up in whatever room a person goes to watch wrestling in, I'm not somebody who lives in a basement, basically.
Well, thank you for judging me, Fizzy. God.
No, you're not judging you, dude. You go outside and you do walks too.
Yeah. Well, I've only just started because I finally realized, good Lord, what the hell am I doing with my life? But that's another thing entirely.
So to start off with, because of the heat, we went with the heavyweight championship match for the Southern Tier Wrestling Championship. This match was between 2 Goliaths of wrestling, Asylum from Canada versus Big Time Bill Collier. Wow, what a good match to start things off with. Now, the storylines involved in this particular match. Asylum had been stripped of the Southern Tier Wrestling Heavyweight Championship at the Gold Rush show. This was his return show. He came to the ring with a belt, claiming that he was still the Heavyweight Wrestling Champion. Big Time Bill Collier, who had won in a three-way match with Brendan Thurston, we'll get to him later, and Kevin Bennett, also get to this guy later, at the last show, Gold Rush. So, yeah, this was a pretty big deal.
Yeah, sort of a title unification or like undisputed title person thingy.
Well, basically, Asylum claimed he was the heavyweight champion when he really wasn't because he'd been stripped of the title because apparently somebody forgot that there's a 30-day rule when it comes to titles. Anyway, we have Collier basically baits Asylum into the ring by saying, come on, let's have a fight. You know, show who the real heavyweight champion is. And they proceed to have a really good match. Considering the size of the ring, which if you see on my Twitter page on the photos, the ring is a little on the small side. Not terrible, but it's still a decent sized ring. These two Goliaths went at each other, did some really nice moves, and in the end there, Collier manages to defeat Asylum. Now, before Asylum can literally snap, well, a certain stable decides to interfere on things. Folks, if you live in the Buffalo, New York area, you might be very familiar with this stable. If you haven't lived in the Buffalo, New York area, I would absolutely recommend checking out many matches that this particular stable is in. They are called the patron saints of professional wrestling, and they are easily the most despicable heels that I have ever seen watch live.
But they're saints, Fizzy.
Yes. Basically, their gimmick is that they are a throwback to like 1920s to 1950s pro wrestling clubs.
My God.
Yeah, they're a throwback to those old clubs from those eras.
They must have fit in so well in that tent.
Yes, they fit in incredibly well in that tent. So we have these four members of the patron saints of professional wrestling come into the ring, beat up on both individuals, and then Brandon Thurston decides he's going to want to break Collier's arm.
Ooh, fun.
Yes, and to her added despicableness, he decides to come into the circus tent wearing sunglasses.
Oh.
Yes. He comes into the ring wearing sunglasses.
Sunglasses indoors, total douche move.
Yep. So after the referees and some of the staff shoo away the patron saints of professional wrestling, who, by the way, have several matches coming up, after this, Asylum decides to do honorable Canadian sportsmanship and shake Bill Collier's hand.
Was it the one that got injured?
No.
Oh.
It was the one that didn't get injured.
Kind of hoping it was the one that got injured just so we could kind of be a dick about it.
Nah, they actually were turning Asylum face because he's been getting really good face reactions at these shows.
All right.
Yeah, Asylum is just a wonder to watch. He has wonderful psychology. He's a veteran in-ring performer. He's been around since like 2003.
Oh.
And his matches are really nice to watch because he brings an added Canadian psychology to them, which really brings things up. He's one of several people that I own t-shirts of.
Oh, nice.
I bought his merch. I bought Big League John McChesney's merch. I bought Bill Collier's merch at the Gold Rush show, and I bought Vincent Valor's merch at this show, Battle-lines. Every single time I try to go to an independent wrestling show, I try to buy one of the local shirts because, you know, no offense to the legend wrestlers that are the guys that are the big draws for people to come to these shows, but I really like supporting the local wrestlers.
Yep. Always good to support your local guys.
Mm-hmm.
Until they start making money, then screw them. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Of course, I know you're kidding, Sal. Otherwise, I'd be mauled to death by wrestlers while doing this broadcast.
Yeah, exactly.
So after this wonderful heavyweight championship match, we then had the Frewsburg Invitational Rumble. Now, the primary amount of wrestlers in this match were from Upstate Pro Wrestling in Rochester, New York. They are a local promotion that does events up in the area, and the majority of the wrestlers were from there and from Maximum Force Wrestling in the Gowanda, Fredonia, Dunkirk, New York area is where they are primarily from. They also sometimes go to Irving, New York, and wrestle at the Indian reservations.
All right.
So you have this majority of the field of these guys, which included names like Human Cyclone, Kaiju, Mako, and the first guy that appeared in this battle royale, Urza Ellswood. Good Lord, is this guy hateable. So he has this hipster vegan gimmick.
Oh my God.
And he had a ukulele.
I don't even know what this guy looks like. I'm trying to picture this. He already sounds incredibly hateable, just based on the description.
His wrestling in-ring gear is that he wears a singlet with a octopus on the front. So basically, he is this evil hipster guy with the hipster glasses and the hipster hat, and he has a manager that claims he's from Brooklyn, New York, and looks like a total hipster.
My God.
You know, the overalls, the flannel, and that Sami Zayn hat.
Oh, God.
Yes.
At least he is a heel, though, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, at least he's a heel. God.
So at the last show, Gold Rush, these two had a rather unfortunate incident at their merch table. They were trying to sell fruits and vegetables.
I remember you talking about that, yes.
Well, what happened was there was a match between Dewey and Vincent Valor, or Vince Valor. And what ended in one of them ending up going through the table, and a catastrophic amount of fruits and vegetables was destroyed.
Damn you, ruining fine produce.
So Vince Valor, destroyer of veggies, has a match later on in this show. And we had this match, which was a really enjoyable battle royale. I know that a lot of people kind of complain about going to battle royales live, but I enjoyed the experience here, primarily because it was just about 10 wrestlers. 10, 11 wrestlers were in this battle royale. They all did their stuff. They did a really nice job of getting the crowd engaged into the match. And the one major issue I had with this particular match was the fact that the winner of this match was the last guy that came out during the entrances. So basically that told you that this guy was going to win the battle royale, and there wasn't the drama that had been building throughout the match really didn't pay off. Although Kaiju is a really good winner, honestly.
I love his name at the very least.
Yes, Kaiju is his name. And yes, he does wear a singlet with Japanese lettering on the front of it and looks like Godzilla.
My God. I kind of want him to walk in like a full Godzilla rubber suit just for the hell of it. I mean, he probably wouldn't be able to wrestle in it, but my God, would it work?
Yeah, they also debuted a new character named Mako, which is Mako, which he has this shark gimmick.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, Mako's a type of shark.
So he's got this psycho shark gimmick. He's got a mask. He's got the shirt. You know, if this doesn't lead to Shark Boy versus Mako, I don't know what they're doing with this. But I'm enjoying the fun. I'm enjoying the wackiness of this particular angle. Human Cyclone, Dewey, and unfortunately, Professor Wrestler. Yes, a guy wearing suspenders and looking like a school teacher was one of the participants in this matchup. He's a local guy from Rochester.
That sounds so ridiculous.
I know, but isn't it wonderful?
Well, of course it is.
After this wonderful match, we had match number 3, which was The Dawn, Rob Sweet, his manager, Super Beast.
I'm suing him for gimmick infringement.
And then we have Robbie Vegas, who's his opponent. So let's start things off. Super Beast is incredibly hateful.
Hooray!
Or incredibly hateable.
Double hooray!
So, to recap, you might have seen on my Twitter feed a photo of a man getting pinned by a mattress.
Yes.
Which was, the opponents were Merrick and Cassidy, who were also on this show. So, that man was Super Beast. Super Beast is easily one of the most hateable heels on this show. He began yelling, screaming, and saying, "You will have silence for the dawn, Rob, sweet," at the town which name he couldn't remember, which led to the first humorous moment on the show. See, up until this point, we had been booing the literal heck out of every single heel that dared cross our line of sight. Super Beast was the first guy I decided to heckle by saying, "You don't even know where we are." And he turns around and whips back, and he thinks that, like, because of how my voice is, he assumed that it was just some big, large, dumb biker who was yelling at him, not some skinny 5'11" beanpole with a Buffalo Bills hat. So he whips around and he says, "I don't care where we are."
I don't care where.
All I know is that this place is horrible.
It's 85 and muggy out, for the love of God.
Yes, and Super Beast is a very large man, so
Yeah.
So obviously the humidity, I'm glad he didn't wrestle on this show. You know, that he was just the bantering manager who screamed at people. So this match was fun. Robbie Vegas has got really nice babyface firepower. He usually works as a bad guy. He was a bad guy in a tag team for a number of years, but this time he went solo and he faced against Rob Sweet, who's traditionally a bad guy. So this worked out. So what this ended with was the Negro Cassius special.
Yay!
Reed, the guy, got kicked in the nads. Got distracted, but the ref got distracted by Super Beast. And Rob Sweet managed to pin Robbie Vegas.
Well, if you're going to take anyone special, you might as well take it from old man Negro Casas.
Yep.
Who sadly wasn't on the CMLL show on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
I love that, man.
Oh, you're going to also love this. You want to know what Rob Sweet's theme is?
What?
The theme from The Godfather.
That is beautiful. I'm still suing him for gimmick infringement.
So yeah, that was an awesome match. You know, to continue on from the Battle Royal, things kept building up from there. And then we reached the first of the show stealers. We have ourselves a classic David versus Goliath match. The David is Kevin Bennett, who is a DJ and also wrestler who is possibly one of the best high flyers that the New York State area has, as far as Western New York is concerned. This guy can fly. Oh my God. This guy was taking chances and doing jumps and flips that I couldn't believe he was doing in this tiny tent. There is one jump where he's doing his finisher and he almost brushes his leg on the tent canvas, which is the roof, by the way.
How high up was it? Like 10 feet at least?
Yeah.
Jesus.
About 8 to 10, maybe less, because the tent was curved.
Oh,
it was
okay.
curved in a triangle.
Yeah. He's still getting at least a good 4 or 5 feet of air.
Yeah.
That's damn.
And this guy can bounce off the ropes like nobody else. And it's amazing to see him defy gravity, basically give it the double bird as he's doing. And he was incredibly comfortable in this match. It was wonderful to see him in his element because he had a great Goliath to work against with. Let me introduce you to possibly both these guys are future stars. Okay. Let me introduce you to the Goliath of this team. One of the patron saints of professional wrestling and a guy that I think more promotions, both these guys should be getting more bookings, but Sherelle Kenneth. My God, what a monster. Terrell Kenneth is the enforcer of the patron saints of professional wrestling. Good Lord, does he look the part, sound the part, and does the part with 100% efficiency. This man can stare daggers down somebody who's taking a photo of him as he's doing his ring entrance. which he did to me as I was taking a camera photo.
Oh my.
God, man, this guy's terrifying when he gets in ring.
God.
Yeah, he's like he set the tempo perfectly. He's the scary guy who's going to crush the little tiny flippy man into 1,000 pieces. And he can prove it too, because my God, the amount of just amazing ability to get the crowd against him and for Kevin was wonderful. He'd scream at the crowd. He'd yell at them. He'd give them looks. He'd do everything to get everybody to boo him out of the building. And it worked. He was the Goliath that needed to be slayed, and Kevin Bennett was the David that needed to beat Goliath. Because on the last show, Kevin Bennett was actually in the main event against Big Time Bill Collier and Brandon Thurston because he had won a battle royale. Which then was later disputed because Brandon Thurston's feet hadn't touched the floor, so shenanigans were afoot.
Yay, shenanigans!
This was a wonderful, wonderful match to get the crowd really going for the rest of the show. There was high energy afterwards. The next several matches had all sorts of high energy, which was necessary because the humidity was starting to become a problem.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it was.
Yeah. So this match was absolutely wonderful. Kudos to both performers for doing an absolutely amazing job. If you're a pro wrestling promotion in the Northeast area, please book these guys because they are amazing. After this, we had more amazing, which was a fatal four-way elimination match for, I guess, would be the #1 contendership for the tag team titles.
Okay.
First, we had the veteran Rock City Wrecking Crew versus the two other members of the Patron Saints of Professional Wrestling. Then we had American Cassidy and a new team, Defiance. Defiance are from Upstate Pro Wrestling in Rochester. Now, they did do a little bit of a shuffle in this particular case, as the two members of Defiance were Iconic Ace and the other guy, whose name is Manny. And usually, the other member of Defiance was the manager in this case because, judging by the amount of athletic tape he had on his shoulder, he wasn't ready to compete. So Iconic Ace steps in for this guy, and Defiance was really good at getting the crowd against them. Because we didn't know at first what their alignment was. They soon showed what their alignment was. So we have two heel teams versus two face teams. And the eliminations went like such. Defiance decided to do a super kick party, which I found extremely hilarious and also really wonderful. Because, folks, if you don't know, not exactly the biggest fan of the Young Bucks. So the two Puerto Rican wrestlers got everybody against them. And the manager was really good at heckling against the crowd. Oh, I forgot to talk about the WAP Sweet Rocket Vegas match. The one thing on this show that was, so, folks, little PSA, please don't throw things of water at wrestlers.
Oh, jeez.
Super Beast ended up a target for this child who was possibly the best throwing arm since Peyton Manning.
Oh, God.
Yeah, please do not throw bottles of water at wrestlers.
Yeah.
Just a PSA. Thankfully, security, and in this case, the security was provided by the photographer, who literally took a shot, then walked over to where the child was and talked to them about it.
Oh, man. Oh, jeez.
So after Defiance was eliminated and American Cassidy were eliminated, American Cassidy are basically like a certain team we'll be talking about a little later on the show, Enzo and Cass. Merrick is the big guy, and Cassidy is the little guy, and Cassidy is the guy that is used as a throwing object. So all the eliminations happened. The Patron Saints were really good at being antagonizers in this match. which ended with the Rock City Wrecking Crew, the veterans in this match, winning. Doing the last elimination on, I can't remember which team, but I think it was the Patron Saints.
Okay.
So, okay, the Patron Saints are 0-2. Also, the finish for the Kenneth Bennett match. Terrell Kenneth attempts to go high risk. Terrell Kenneth is almost 350 pounds.
Yeah.
So, naturally, this doesn't go well.
No, usually doesn't.
And local earthquake seismometers are wondering what is hitting the Richter scale at this point.
Yeah. Only works well for Keith Lee. Remember that.
Yeah, it does work well for Keith Lee, but Terrell Kenneth is not Keith Lee.
Yeah.
Although he could become Keith Lee.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Anyway, Kenneth Bennett hits his finisher on Kenneth after he does the splash.
Nice.
Which was like, we caught that aerial shot. And it was like perfect timing. He's spinning in the air as he does a splash. Can't remember if it was a 450 or a 350, but it was a wonderful splash nonetheless. After we had the ruckus that was this fatal four-way tag match, the Bennett-Kenneth match, the Vegas Suite match, the Kaiju Rumble match, and Collier versus Asylum, we then had our technical wrestling showcase on 1001 Ways on How to Dissect Somebody's Arm. Featuring Professor Brandon Thurston of the Patron Saints of Professional Wrestling. Now, for those of you who aren't aware, Brandon Thurston is a guy that does multiple things. He is a trainer for Grapplers Anonymous Professional Wrestling up in Buffalo. He also does analytical stats for Fightful.com. He also does the WrestleNomics podcast with Chris Harrington, a.k.a. Mookie Agamiya, as Brandon Howard, and is a guy that does analytical studies and about WWE's finances. So this really smart guy, the Brandon Howard person, really smart guy, really good at analytical statistics. Brandon Thurston, the wrestler, most hateable person on this card.
Yeah. Wait, even more hateable than the hipster?
Yes.
For
starters, the aforementioned wearing sunglasses indoors.
Total douchebag move.
Yes, and he asked for silence from the crowd. Which led to me screaming at him, "You wanted silence? Now feel the booze!" And he looks over at, once again, this 5'11" beanpole is literally yelling at the wrestlers. Oh, man. After this, we have Vincent Valor, who does a classic babyface entrance. He is a well-known wrestler, veteran wrestler. Both these guys have been around a while. Valor has been around since 2009, 2010. Thurston has been around since 2004.
Wow.
He also works for Empire State Wrestling, ESW, which is the main promotion up in Buffalo at this point. So to say this guy has been a major keystone in why the Buffalo, New York indie scene has been rebuilding itself after about 20 years of dormancy. Yeah, everybody in Buffalo has been really trying to do their part in trying to rebuild Buffalo as a indie destination. And it's really, really wonderful to see, as a side note. I always like to see areas that have been hard hit by the Rust Belt do really well in trying to rebuild themselves, and Buffalo's doing that. And, at this point, this feels like something that like a revival is coming. The revival hit British wrestling. The revival has hit Southern wrestling. Western wrestling is reviving itself. Wrestling, I feel, all over the United States is really starting to come alive in these last few years. And I'm really glad that my neck of the woods, Western New York, is becoming a part of that revival. Because I do not like seeing things decay and rot and crumble before me, because I've lived here since 1999, and it's not a pretty sight to see.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that my area, the Southern Tier, is getting such great wrestlers and wrestling, in these areas. And I really do hope their success continues. So continuing on with this match, this was a technical wrestling affair. Both wrestlers attempted to try and remove the other's arm. However, Thurston has a submission maneuver. Valor really doesn't have a submission maneuver. He basically was trying to power out of everything and trying to hit that one thing that could cause him to beat Thurston. Thurston, who was, like I said, the most hateable person on this card. Everybody was screaming and booing at this guy who was trying to be the most despicable wrestler imaginable. Also, these guys worked in the peak of the heat and humidity. 80-degree temperature, 80 to 85-degree temperatures. Lord, was that bad. So this was the last match that I watched before I had to go to the concession stand to get more drinks. This was an amazing technical masterpiece of a match. Really well worked, really well grappling was really great. My mother really enjoyed it because she's old school. She used to watch boxing matches.
Okay.
So to her, this was a throwback to her, you know, of watching those old boxing matches at the arena when she was a kid. So for her, it was a really great experience. And, you know, for me, it was a wonderful experience, you know, to see these two in their elements do all this wonderful submission wrestling. Finish is that Thurston got Valor with his submission hold. And Valor tapped out.
Yeah, it'll happen.
Yep. So that sold me. That was a match that really sold me. So after this, I had to go take a little bit of a break. A little bit of a breather. One of the things that happened is that there wasn't really an intermission on this show because of the massive amount of heat. They really had to get things going in a quick way.
Yeah.
So what I did is during the entrances of the Divine Alliance is I went down and got some more drinks at the concession stand. I got a soda and then watched the spiel of one John Kennedy, manager of the Divine Alliance, who is about to have a no good, very bad day. Now, John Kennedy, I had seen before. He was on a big-time pro wrestling card where he was the manager of an 8-man heel tag team against an 8-man face tag team. So I was familiar with his antics. And also, he wrestled on the last show, Gold Rush. Yes, a manager wrestling on a show. The wonders of independent wrestling and last-minute scheduling.
Gotta love it.
So anyway, he runs a stable of 4 wrestlers, which is why it's called a Divine Alliance. And 2 of their wrestlers, Kevin Blackwood and Caesar, who is this guy who wears face paint and looks like a cross between one of the members of Kiss and the Joker.
My God.
Yep. So Mr. Kennedy proceeds to antagonize the crowd a little bit by calling them... Oh, God. And this is the part I was going, like, I was sitting over by where I was waiting for my order of a soft drink to arrive, and he's calling the crowd inbred hillbillies, basically.
Oh, man.
Yes. I would have sincerely hoped that he had his exit plan planned out in case the hillbillies took offense to this. Because, son, you're in Frewsburg. If he said that in Ward or Corey or Youngstown, Pennsylvania, they would have to run from the massive rednecks in pickup trucks, wielding pitchforks, torches, and shotguns.
Oh, joy.
Because I know my local area.
Yeah. Jeez.
And this is one of the local guys. These guys are actually from the Southern Tier area. They're from Jamestown. And so they try to get heel with the locals. And this leads to the hero of the day, Snitsky. Who, wow, WWE really missed the boat on as far as the babyface is concerned.
Really?
He's got natural babyface charisma. He's wonderful.
See, the thing I know him from is like the miscarriage angle, which, oh, good Lord, that was terrible.
Yeah, but he does it. He has a little baby snitchky doll. And he does it in sort of a self-deprecating way of it's not. He does the it's not my fault promo.
Oh, Lord.
But he does it in such a way where, you know, he's self-deprecating that angle. You know, he knows that is the angle that, you know, it brought him his fame, but it also kind of sort of ended his WWE tenure.
Well, yeah, of course it did.
Because they wanted him to be a heel when this guy is such a good natural babyface. My God, he's so great at interacting with the crowd, and that also showcases what professional acting and professional training will do to a guy. This guy knew how to get the crowd behind him. So we have a 2-on-1 slaughtering, aka handicap match, with Snitsky versus these two. So there was they were on the outside. They did a rock, paper, scissors tournament to see which guy was going to get in the ring first with this guy. Caesar lost.
That poor man.
Which led to another bit of heckling from me saying, "Come on, dude, you're the crazy man with the face paint. You must be honor bound to the rules of rock, paper, scissors."
Was he honor bound to them?
Yes.
Hooray.
He was honor bound to be clotheslined by Snitsky.
Not hooray.
Double clotheslines, body splashes, and of course the wonderment of a double choke slam.
Yay.
And see, this is the important part. Because John Kennedy ran his mouth, and because Snitsky responded by ending both Kevin Blackwood and Caesar, guess what? He didn't have any backup for a tag team wrestling match that was the main event on this show. Before we got to that match, we have a very angry J-Rock facing against Rico Cruz. And also, hats off to J-Rock. This guy worked 2 shows in one day. This show and then another show in Cleveland, Ohio.
How the hell did he get there?
Because the bell time was 7 p.m. for the Cleveland show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this guy went globetrotting on Father's Day weekend to do 2 shows. And credit to the guy. He did a really great job in this match with Rico Cruz. Really good back and forth match. Not a lot of heat because, unfortunately, everybody was really tired because of the humidity. The humidity really played a factor in this match.
Yep.
Also, by then, my mother had to go pick up my dad from his work, so she had left. So I was on my own, doing boos and cheers and trying to get the memory card on my camera to work because it had filled up because I had to switch the settings on my camera so that I could actually get proper shots of the show. Because the natural shots that the automatic settings on my camera don't necessarily work for wrestling shows because they move so fast.
Yeah.
So it's like a giant blur across the screen with a lot of my photos. Thankfully, these photos turned out great, and you can find them on my Twitter page. If you haven't already looked at them, which you really should. These are amazing, amazing shots. And I'm an amateur hobby photographer guy. The guy who, there are also shots available on the TMK Pro Wrestling Photography Facebook page. Now, I know the photographer on this show. He's a really great guy. And this is actually the reason I got involved with the local wrestling scene out here is because I was his cashier when I worked at one of my old jobs. So, pro wrestling promoters, if you want to wonder why exactly this guy got on time so many times, it's because he went through my checkout line really quickly. Because in all honesty, when you're stuck in the checkout lines at your local friendly Kmart, good Lord, they are long.
Yep.
So, this is how I got involved with the local wrestling scene. I started showing up at the shows because he'd tell me, hey, man, there's this show coming up and this show coming up. And I'm like, well, I can't make it to this one. I can't make it to this one because of this or that. And I finally started making to the local wrestling shows over the last couple of years. I had really bad luck last year. This year, I went to 2 shows. Last year, I couldn't make a single show. Because of scheduling issues and also because of the worst weather to hit the Southern Tier area in like 20 years, and I had to end up fixing my roof.
Oh, joy.
Yes, part of my attic roof started leaking, so I had to go fix that during the week of the Big Trouble in Little Sauron show that was in Lakewood. Also, I was kind of worried about water spouts hitting the show. So, water spouts, for those who don't know, are basically tornadoes.
Over water.
Yes.
Yeah, so...
So anyway, J-Rock versus Rico Cruz. Rico Cruz has got great babyface fire. J-Rock was amazing as the heel of Give It Up One Time, which led to booing. And naturally, because the man was very sad about the fact that the Cleveland Cavaliers had managed to lose to the Golden State Warriors, and because the precious Cleveland Indians had lost to the Chicago Cubs in the World Series, he took out a lot of his frustration on Mr. Cruz.
Aw.
He ended up winning.
Hooray. Or not. If he's from Cleveland, I don't want him to win.
So after that was the main event of this show. The Homewreckers, who are from Buffalo, versus the Divine Alliance from Jamestown. Or in this case, well, Frankie Peppers is also from Buffalo. But they are naturally heels. So after the miscue of having two of his followers get massacred by Snitsky, well, the Divine Alliance is down 2 people. Not to mention the fact that this is a lumberjack match.
Oh, joy.
Yes, a lumberjack match in a tiny fairgrounds tent. So the wrestlers circling around the arena, many of whom are beginning to suffer from early stages of heat exhaustion.
Yep.
Because it's 85 degrees outside.
Yeah, I know that feeling well. I think I actually had it earlier today.
So this was a really wonderful, fun match. The Divine Alliance was incredibly hateable. The Homewreckers were really good as the babyface team on fire. Anthony Gaines was yet another person to flip out of the ring and dive onto a pack of lumberjacks. So yeah, this was a wonderful, fun match. Closed out the show. Everybody was really happy about that because the babyface team won.
Yay! Did they win the belts?
Yep, and gained the belts because this was their last opportunity at gaining the Southern Tier Wrestling Tag Team Championships because they had been screwed over by the Divine Alliance on past shows. So storytelling, folks. The storytelling ends with the Homewreckers becoming the champions.
Funny how it works, you know. At the end of a storyline, the babyface wins. Lord knows with how long we've been conditioned by WWE, the babyface always loses in the end.
So this was a absolutely awesome show, and folks, if you want to catch a Southern Tier Wrestling Battle-lines show or any shows from the upcoming promotions like ESW and Pro Wrestling Rampage out in Erie and Upstate Pro Wrestling, they have got a ton of shows lined up because Pro Wrestling Rampage runs monthly shows. They run them in the Saga Club in Erie, Pennsylvania, which is the Masonic Temple on 38th Street. ESW is running a show this coming Saturday, June 24th. Upstate Pro Wrestling is going to be running a show in July, and Southern Tier Pro Wrestling's next show will be Midway Mayhem at the Chautauqua County Fair, July 26th at 7 p.m. at the Chautauqua County Fairgrounds. And folks, if you buy a ticket to the Chautauqua County Fair, the admission is free.
Hooray!
Because it's a part of the Chautauqua County Fair weekend of events. Because the Chautauqua County Fair, for those who don't know, is the biggest fair of the year in Chautauqua County. Now, for those of you who don't know where that is, Chautauqua County Fairgrounds is located in Dunkirk, New York. It's very easy to get to. All you have to do is just go to Fredonia, head straight, make a left down Vineyard Drive, then take a right across under the bridge, and you're right there in the fairgrounds.
Hooray!
Yep. So July 26th, 7 p.m., Midway Mayhem will be Southern Tier Wrestling's next show. This card is subject to change. Matches are to be determined because they've not been announced yet. So that wraps up the local wrestling show. Now we'll travel down south of the border to the land of Mexico, Arena Mexico more specifically, because we've got to talk about Lucha Libre.
Yep. So I'll take this one because we need to give poor Fizzy a break for his voice, 1. And 2, over the past year, I've been getting into Lucha Libre, specifically CMLL. Now, before I get into this certain show we talk about, I feel like it would be beneficial, since this is really our first time talking about it, to get into some info and background on CMLL and Lucha in general. CMLL is actually the oldest currently running professional wrestling company in the world. They were founded in 1933 by Salvador Luderoth, and they are very traditional. And what I mean by that is that they don't do swearing, they don't do blood, and they hardly do any like gimmick matches. They don't do ladder matches, they don't do like hardcore matches. And I think they really only do steel cage matches every now and again, and even then it's like escape the cage rules. So they're called the Serious and the Stable. And if you bleed on a show, you're getting taken off of their big show, which is the anniversary show or the anniversario. You know, you swear, you're getting taken off that, as Rush can attest to.
Well, basically, if you bleed, you're basically going to be taken off a show. If you swear, you're going to be taken off a show. It's not necessarily the biggest show, because when Rush did that, it was a couple weeks away from the biggest show. So that's why he got pulled off there.
Yeah. And that wasn't even in their own company. That was like in a company they had a working agreement with. This shows how much they want their image to be protected. They're a very traditional company, but they're very, very good. And I know everyone in America sort of has the stereotypical image of Lucha being all high-flying moves, you know, and all spot fests. No. It is that, yes, they do have a lot of good high flyers, and we'll get to that in the main. There's a lot of good high flying there. But CMLL has some great mat workers, excellent mat workers, and I feel like it's only fair we give them their due.
Yes, these two sides are Technicos and Rudos. Technicos are basically technical wrestlers. They do a traditional sort of a modification of pro wrestling and Olympic-style catch wrestling with Olympic-style submissions and holds.
Yep. And they also do some high flyings, because Technicos is pretty much the catch-all term for face or good guy wrestlers. Rudos, as the name implies, they're rude. They're brawlers. They cheat. They're dirty. You know, and they're your heels. They're your bad guys.
Although technically Rudos can also gain sympathy from the crowd, because it's basically more of a professional. It's more of a professional taste as to which side of the alignment you're on. You're either going to be a brawler or you're going to be a high flyer / technical guy.
Yep. And the thing in Mexico, and something to keep in mind for later, is titles don't mean as much in Mexico as they do in the States. They still mean something, but the big matches down in Mexico are called luchas de apestas, and I'm so sorry if I'm butchering that. And those are bet matches. And the three most common are mask versus mask, mask versus hair, and hair versus hair.
Yeah, lucha de espacias.
Yep. And, you know, those are like the big matches. Like one of the main guys in CMLL who has never lost his mask and has won like 20 different people's masks is Atlantis. He wasn't on this show, but, you know, we'll get into... But, you know, getting into some of the card itself. Oh, and by the way, before I get into this, actually, I should probably mention this. All these matches are 2 out of 3 falls. That's how Lucha works. They do have something called a match Relampago, which is a lightning match, which is a 1-fall match with a 10-minute time limit, but there wasn't one on this card. And something else to keep in mind for trios matches, in order to win a fall, you need to pin at least 2 people on the team or pin the team's captain. And that'll win you the fall. And for a tag match, in order to win the fall, you need to pin or make both members of the team submit. It isn't just you pin one guy and your team wins the fall. No, you have to pin them all, or in trios, pin 2 or the captain. Now, getting into this, CMLL is kind of weird in that usually their first 2 matches aren't that great. They're not terrible, don't get me wrong, but they're the weakest on the card. And this past Tuesday, that was no exception. There weren't terrible matches. The first match was Ultimo Dragoncito and Fantasy against Pequeño Olímpico and Pequeño Universo. And, you know, it was slow. It wasn't very great. It was fun enough, I guess. And Ultimo Dragoncito took the first fall. Or no, they took the win by winning the last 2 falls. And the Rudos took the first fall by pinning both of them. They came back and they made them tap, and the Technicos made the Rudos tap in the second fall. And they won the match after Fantasy hit Olímpico with an actually very beautiful Spanish fly, and Dragoncito made Universo tap.
Things to remember about first matches when it comes to CMLL. The matches are usually typically very slow. They typically are 30 minutes long, although in this case it was actually around 20 this time. So,
yeah.
That was positive.
Yeah, well, they had to make time for the main, which was absolutely phenomenal, but we'll get there in a minute. After that, we had Magnus, Metatron, and Oro Jr. against Akumo, Canelo Casas, and Sangria Azteca.
And note, this is not the Magnus from TNA. This is a completely different Magnus.
Yep. And the team captains for this match were Oro Jr. and Sangria. Oro Jr. for the faces or technicals, and Azteca for the rudos. And, again, like I said before, first two CMLL card matches, they're usually not very great. They're not terrible. This was a decent match, too. The rudos won the first match after Akuma, I should say, pinned team captain Oro Jr. However, the Technicals rebounded and won the match by winning the last two falls. They won the second fall after Magnus pinned Sangria Azteca, and they won the third fall after Akuma was pinned by Magnus, and then Azteca tapped to Oro Jr. Which was weird, because usually what happens when you win a match is you either pin both guys who aren't the captain, or you just pin the captain. You don't sort of do both at once. But, it happened, and it is what it is. And after that, this is where the show really started picking up for me, at least. We had the Panther, Pegaso, and Blue Panther Jr. against Virus, Puma, and Tiger.
Oh, good Lord, these three.
Yes. And the thing is, something to keep in mind, the Panther and Blue Panther Jr., they're both brothers and the son of someone we'll get into the match after this called Blue Panther, but they're some of my favorite wrestlers. I love the Panther Dynasty. They are great.
And then we have the Cat Dynasty, which is Foligno, Tiger, and Puma.
Yep. And those three are actually extended members of the Casas family, which include the Saint of Grumpy Old Men, Negro Casas, who is seriously one of my favorite wrestlers. Like, if you've never seen a match with Grumpy Old Man Casas, watch it. He is great. And that's besides the point. The Rudos took this match, sadly. It was the first match the Rudos took. The Rudos took the first fall after making Panther tap and pinning Pegaso. And in the second fall, the Technicals came back after the Panther Dynasty made Puma and Tiger tap. And the third fall went to the heel, the Rudos, after Tiger powerbombed and pinned Blue Panther Jr. So, it was still a fun match. There was actually a couple suicide dives and a tope con hero from the Panther Dynasty and Pegaso right before the ending to I want to say the third fall. It had some good map work, and it actually accelerated and got a little flippy. So it was fun. This was where the card really started to pick up.
Yeah, this was the fun match on the show where, I enjoy Virus because the guy is a master at submission work.
Yes. Seriously, I think I was talking to Boss Rock about this yesterday, who, for those who don't know, he's a really big Lucha fan. I'm starting to get way more into it, but that guy loves Lucha. And he's and he said, and I agree with him, CMLL has low-key some of the best technical mat workers in the world. And he's right.
See, it isn't just about high spots and power bombs and whatnot. Technical wrestling is something that is another key important element in the world of professional wrestling.
Yep. Yeah, and this is something that sadly Lucha doesn't get enough recognition for, because they do great flippy stuff, but that's all they're known for when they have such great technical workers, including up next one of my favorite wrestlers in CMLL, Blue Panther, and his teammates of Drone and Fuego against Sam Adonis, Sanson, and Cuaterrero. And again, I apologize if I'm butchering these pronunciations. But Blue Panther, he is 56. This man is still one of the best wrestlers. He's still one of the great wrestlers. He can go. This dude, I've seen him bust out suicide dives. I've seen him bust out planchas. This guy can go, Fizzy.
Oh, yes, certainly. He can definitely go. This is a guy that is capable against anybody in the ring, because the thing is this guy has saved his health.
Yeah. And I think I think this actually kind of goes with the Mexican style as well, since they run a lot of trios matches.
Yeah.
Which means Mexico runs many trios matches, so people aren't doing as much work. They're doing about a third of the work each match, as if you were doing a singles match of the same length. So it lets them go for longer. And a lot of these guys take care of their health. And this was a really fun match. Panther, he's one of my favorites, and Sam Adonis we need to talk about.
Oh, good Lord, Sam Adonis. Now, for those of you who know about the foreign wrestling heel gimmick, well, the Mexican version of a foreign wrestling heel is Sam Adonis, who is a textbook case.
Yep,
See,
Uber
this
Trump
guy
supporter.
has basically taken the American Patriot gimmick and turned it into 150 degrees of hatred.
Yeah, he is an Uber Trump supporter who comes to the ring with a giant American flag with Donald Trump's face on it.
Yes, the thing that makes a Mexican crowd want to get out their knives and want to stab the guy.
Yes, he is seriously probably the most hated heel on the roster, and he revels in it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a great gimmick. He's actually the younger brother of WWE Raw announcer Corey Graves. So,
so hateability lives in the family.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if WWE gives Adonis a call one of these days. I mean, he's been doing some really good work in Mexico.
The trouble is the gimmick is basically exclusive to Mexico.
That is sad, yeah. You know, although they are trying to do it with whoever the Velveteen Dream is, or they were trying to do it with Patrick Clark, or I think that's his name for a little bit there. But yeah, you know, but no, he's very good. And the Rudos won this match. Technicos won the first fall after Panther made Adonis tap, which was such a great move to see. And then right early into the second fall, Panther was just literally kicking Sam Adonis in the ass, and Adonis was like holding his ass and selling it, and it's just like, my God, this is great.
Yes, he managed to run across the one of the cranky wrestlers.
Yes. Rudo's got the second fall by pinning Drone and Fuego, and the third fall was a dirty fall. Fuego was beating up, I want to say it was Sanson. It might have been Cucharito. I can't remember specifically. In the corner, and the ref was trying to pull him apart. While that was going on, Adonis low-blowed Goodman Blue Panther Blue Panther, and then pinned him. Dick move, Sam Adonis.
Yes, Cassius is going to be filing for gimmick infringement now.
Oh no, did I say kick? That's my bad. He didn't kick. He low blowed him, just like uppercutted him. That's my bad.
Still, he is going to get quite a bit of talking to from Mr. Cassius about that's my thing.
Yes, of course, because Negro Casas is awesome. And I mean, my God, did he get hatred from that? Mainly because one, Blue Panther's like a huge baby face.
Yeah.
He's also Daniel Bryan's favorite luchador, so we all know he's a good guy. Come on now. If good man Bryan loves him, then we've all got to love him. You know, and Sam Adonis is already this uber Trump-loving heel, you know, low-blowing, beloved old guy baby face to low-blow him and get the pin. My God, the heel heat.
Yes, the absolute heel heat, which is like the perfect way of going about things.
Unlike another company we'll get to.
Oh, certainly. We will be getting to that. Also, like to mention, Blue Panther is also a doctor.
Yes, he seriously is. We're not joking. He is a shoot doctor. This is a man who's just incredible at everything he does. You know, and I honestly can't wait to see what he does next, because, I mean, the dude's great. His sons are great, you know. I mean, I love this stuff. So, But after that, we had another fun match. We had Caristico, Mystico, and El Valiente against Los Hijos del Infernios, Mephisto, Luciferno, and Hefesto.
Which basically means Team Hell versus Team Good Guys.
Yes, or as I like to call them. Well, see, Mystico and El Valiente, along with someone we'll get into in the next match, Volador Jr., they're the current Trios champions in a team called Sky Team. Although, if you ask anyone in the Daily, we call them Team Flippy Shit, because that is what they do a lot of, and they're great at it. And Caristico took the place of Volador because Volador had a match. Caristico, for those who don't know, and I think most of them know, he is the former original Sin Cara from WWE. He didn't exactly pan out there for a few reasons. One, he was never really adapted to the WWE style. Two, he had a bit of an attitude problem, you know. And three, he never bothered to really learn English, so he didn't really pan out.
Fourth, he also violated the wellness policy twice.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, it's a shame he didn't work out because the dude's really talented, but he's putting on some great matches down in Mexico again, so it's not like he's doing nothing.
Also, the shoot interview that he does whenever he leaves CMLL is going to be amazing.
Oh, yes. Yes, my God. I mean, I love the dude. He's really talented, but he's not exact. I don't want to say he's a bad guy because I've never met him personally, but gotten into a few squabbles. Let's put it like that.
Well, he did showcase a gun at ADR, but then again, it's the two nightmares of Lucha Libre. This guy and ADR.
Yeah. Although the dude is over as hell in Arena Mexico. People love the guy. And, you can see why. He's fun. Mystico. See, Caristico was actually the original Mystico. That's what he was called before he came back. Mystico, there's a new guy playing him who's related to Dragon Lee and I want to say Rush. I think this is his other brother. Yeah. So, he's also related to Perioth, which how Perioth had no talent yet had 3 incredibly talented sons is beyond me.
Presumably because they are really good at wrestling.
I imagine it's probably from their mother.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm going to go with. But, yes. So, and then there's El Valiente, who honestly, like I said before, he needs to get some bigger trunks.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good Lord.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my God, like Rev said, no, he doesn't, because soon one day little Valiente will show himself. I mean, he really will at this point, Valiente. But no, this was a fun match.
Mm-hmm.
Not as flippy as I thought it would be, but they're always fun to watch. The Rudos won the match after taking the last 2 falls. They pinned and they did that by pinning Team Captain Mystico after a powerbomb in the second fall. And in the third, they pinned Valiente after a reverse roll-up and Caristico after dropping him from the top rope, pretty much. So,
And the powerbomb in Mexico is basically like the most universal destructive pinfall freak count move ever.
Yeah, it's pretty much like, if you just get powerbombed, you're getting pinned. Pretty much all there is to it. And now we get to the match of the night, and which was, my God, was this a great match. I was checking out Lucha Blog on this, and if you guys want more Lucha info, go check him out. It's like the Cubs fan Lucha Blog. He does great work. And him and someone else were saying this was probably the best Lucha match so far this year. I haven't seen as many as them, obviously, because I really only watch CMLL and I don't watch AAA. But my God, I agree with them. This match, Volador Jr. versus Barbaro Cavernario for the NWA World Historic Middleweight Championship.
Now, the reason that Volador Jr. has the belt is something that we talked about a few weeks back. You see, the guy who was the middleweight championship beforehand, or was it the heavyweight championship?
Oh, no, this wasn't one of the ones that got vacated.
Oh, okay, this is a different one.
Yeah, like I said before, titles don't mean much. There's like 20 different titles in CMLL. So it's hard to keep track. But,
But Mexico actually had 2 recent title changes because, well, Ultimo Guerrero's car got crushed.
Yep. One went to Marco Corleone, and the other went to Nabila Roja. Both very solid choices, I must say.
Yep.
So, but Volador Jr., he's also one of the current trios champions, and he's the NWA World Historic Middleweight Championship. And he went up against his old rival, Barbaro Cavernario. These two have had a rivalry going on for, at least a year?
Yep.
And they seem to be building to a hair versus hair match at the Anniversario this year. I think that it's all but been announced. I know they've been hinting at it. I think it was announced. I'm not sure. And before the match started, they had the seconds, which are pretty much the managers for each wrestler come out. The first was Drone for Volador, and the second was Mephisto for Barbaro Cavernario. And my Lord, was this match great. You had the back and forth on the mat early to start, and then they just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And the first fall happened when Cavernario did he sort of slingshotted him outside and did a plancha onto Volador, threw him in and pinned him. First fall to Cavernario. The second, then after that, they kept going for a bit, and Volador did his Avalanche Hurricane Rana. My God. Like, that move, Fizzy, how can he do that? That was just beautiful.
It takes years of skill, years of practice, and the right dance partner to do that kind of move.
Yeah. And my lord, was it amazing. I mean, if you've never seen him do this, like, I'll probably post a link in the comments below after to that match because my God, everyone needs to see this match 1 and 2. Everyone needs to see that spot because it's a beautiful move. So that got Volador the second fall. And then after that, they went back and forth and into a finishing stretch. Cavanario, or excuse me, Volador tried to hit Cavanario with the Avalanche Rana again, but Cavanario got his feet up. Cavanario tried to hit a splash of his own. Volador got his feet up, and then they went for the run. And Volador came off the ropes and did a Canadian Destroyer onto Cavanario for the final pin and got the win. And they shook hands afterwards, and my lord, what a great match. And there's a tradition down in Mexico where if you liked a match a lot, you throw money in the ring. They were throwing money in the ring.
Yeah, they threw money in the ring.
Yeah, that's how they show respect for putting on such a great match, and that's what they did. And my lord, was it a great match. I mean, just like, this was a match that reminded me that yes, pro wrestling can be awesome. Yes, pro wrestling is great. And yes, this is something that I love. Because, there's some, and here's the thing, there is some great stuff on WWE, but there's so much bad in it that it wears you down sometimes. So, this break this past week was great. Although I did watch a segment on Raw and SmackDown, but we'll get into that in a bit. But yeah, check out Volador Jr. versus Bavaro Cavanario. The rest of the card was solid to pretty good. It wasn't bad at all. It was an overall great show, but nothing you really need to see.
For both of us, this past week was not a week of raging or screaming about whatever mistakes WWE did about this week. This week was a time where we watched some really, really, really good wrestling, and both of us needed that. I got to go to my second local independent wrestling show this year. Sal got to see a CMLL show on Tuesday. That was really, really enjoyable. And had an amazing Cavanario and Volador Jr. match.
Yeah. And, it's something I needed because, and here's the thing, I am going to bury some stuff. I am going to be mad at this WWE stuff we're about to get into. So I needed something to counterbalance it because, like I said on Twitter after the Cavanario Volador Jr. match ended, as much as often as I get angry on this show, I don't like getting angry on this show all the time. I really don't. I like being happy on my podcast. I don't find it fun to be raging all the time, but honestly, WWE makes me so mad half the time.
Yeah, we don't want to be raging all the time. And honestly, I don't feel like we are raging at this point because what I like to do is I like to do an intellectual breakdown on each of the segments in a way that is reasonable, but at the same time, I am going to point out criticisms and I'm going to point out flaws in what WWE's structure and booking is.
Yep.
Although this first segment we'll be talking about, do you want to talk about the stuff that happened on Raw?
Oh, we might as well talk about my one segment. I watched the the Tozawa TJP match on Raw. I mean, Titus doing his Titus brand stuff, which yesterday I think it just hit me. I'm pretty sure this is a reference to the LeVar Ball stuff. So
wait, WWE is doing a modern cultural reference?
Yeah,
with the times?
Yes, I'm honestly pretty sure this is what it's supposed to be.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I have no idea how it took me so long, but that's pretty much what he's doing. And, with Titus and Apollo, or Tozawa and Apollo, excuse me. And, the match was boring, mainly because of TJP. Titus hyping up Tozawa was great, though. And he helped. Tozawa did his damn best, but good Lord, TJP is the walking mediocrity.
The walking mediocrity of Los Angeles, California.
Yeah, seriously. He's not, he needs Stoke so damn bad. God, can we just bring Stoke in, please?
He's still got angles to do and evolve, though. So, even if we wanted to bring Stokely in, he's still got to do his whole dream team catch point angle.
Yeah. He's so damn good, man. But that's all I saw from Raw. There was that one angle at the end that I did see on YouTube, but I didn't see live.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I saw it on YouTube as well. And, well, there were a couple of things that happened. First, the sound of gritting teeth you heard was Braun Strowman returning, which will make KNA Knight very unhappy.
It made me happy.
Oh, yes, I know, certainly. But, like, it's bad enough that Miz is dominating a spot on the, for him at least. But now Braun Strowman's back early.
Mm-hmm. That's because
I had to deal with the torment of a 27-minute long Dean Ambrose match, and now this. So, as announced at the pay-per-view, I will still refuse to say the name of an ambulance match.
Yep, an ambulance match between Roman and Braun, which will be freaking awesome.
Yep, that match will at least be something which will be enjoyable, honestly. Yep. I like Braun. I do understand the criticisms that people are leveling on the guy, but I do like what he's doing right now, especially since he goes, "I'm not done with you."
Yeah, of course he isn't. That's because Braun is awesome, and he knows Roman can't escape him. So,
literally, because he basically has him tracked.
Yeah,
Roman does not notice the beeping tracking chip on his coat, on that little armor vest that he has.
Yep. Then there was. Do we want to talk about that angle or?
Oh, the which one? The Cass angle?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love this angle.
Yeah. I know a lot of people were actually upset about this. I didn't really think so. I thought people found them kind of annoying at this point, but I don't know.
But the way that Cass put on the acting job of his life to get this over.
Yep.
He basically said, "I've been carrying you for so dang long that you're holding me back."
Yep.
And I think that he and a certain other person who recently betrayed their tag team partner are going to have a lot of celebrating to do. Because this was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful egg segment. Because we had suspects like the Revival. Because, okay, first and foremost, why would the Revival want to be taking credit for breaking Enzo's leg unless they wanted to do it in front of a paying audience?
Seriously. You had the Big Show, which was a total red herring.
Yes. But was also a catalyst in this continuity to the breakup.
Yep.
Cass wanted to see if Enzo was smart enough to realize he was being betrayed.
Yeah. And Enzo, of course, wasn't smart enough because Enzo's an idiot.
Yes. So what happened was Cass had to spell it out for him. We're through.
Yep. And then he booted Enzo in the face and, well, Enzo died.
Yes. So here's what I'm going to have to say about this. And Sal, you might want to back off a little bit because I might yell at this point. Cass, what took you so dang long to do this? Jeez Louise! What took you so long to kick this guy in the mush? To turn on him because this guy has been a living anchor this entire time. Okay? How did you not resist the temptation to kick that little roadkill hair in the head? Because this guy, time and time again, brought disaster after disaster on your wrestling career. He aggravated Rusev, who managed to break your leg.
Yeah.
He has repeatedly gone against the Revival, who, by the way, are also masters at breaking people's legs. God, jeez, why did it take you so long to kick this guy in the mush?
Because Cass is a good man.
I know he's a good man and has the patience of a gosh dang saint, but God, please.
Yeah. Well,
this was a wonderful breakup in a year of wonderful, wonderful breakups.
Sure. I was fine with this one. We won't talk about the other one.
Of course we won't talk about the other one, even though the person involved in that other one is probably celebrating with Stromboli and pizza with Cass.
He's dead to me.
At least he found a new roommate.
Yeah. Well, that was really only the big stuff on Raw. SmackDown had one segment that I watched, but I'll get into that when we talk Money in the Bank because it has directly to do with that.
Okay, how much of Money in the Bank do you actually want to cover?
Let's cover it all. We'll make it quick though.
All right, let's start from the best to the worst. The hero, Baron Corbin, is now Mr. Money in the Bank. May you enjoy his reign of terror and destruction upon those pitiful indie geeks.
Yeah, like I can see why they'd want to push Baron. I just don't feel he's ready yet. He's got a lot of potential. I see flashes of great stuff from him, but he doesn't always show it.
Sure, but I think in this particular case, him being Mr. Money in the Bank, it was absolutely the right call. I know that some people wanted Shinsuke Nakamura to be the cash-in guy, but I feel that this works out much better this way with him being a lingering threat in the background. Besides, all these other guys can get championship opportunities through whatever means they need to.
Yeah. The match itself was really fun, though. That was a hell of a spot fest. It
was an amazing match. I actually need to rewatch this match again because I'm also going to be covering this pay-per-view tomorrow for Cage Side Speaks' 2-year anniversary show.
Hooray!
Yep.
So, after that, I'd say the second best match is probably the Hype Bros Colognes pre-show match.
I completely missed that match. I actually need to watch that.
Oh, man. That was actually a really fun match. The Hype Bros, they are over as hell.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they were getting chants. Mojo is over. Zach is over. Things is happy. I'm happy. That was a great match. Then the Hype Bros won.
Yes, that was one of the big highlights on this show.
Yeah.
For me personally, my second favorite match was, and this is going to come to a shock to people, the World Heavyweight Championship match.
That was actually probably my third favorite match on the card.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said last week when we were previewing it, I said, maybe, and I was being half sarcastic with it, maybe they'll exceed my expectations and actually be average or above average. This was actually above average.
Mm-hmm. Jinder Mahal had heat on his side. He was in St. Louis, which is Randy Orton's hometown. They had a bunch of legends ringside who acted as aggravators to Mahal and the Singh brothers.
Yep.
And Randy Orton, once again, pulls a Randy Orton and naturally leads to the finish with him getting hit by the Colossus by Mahal.
Yeah. They actually did a pretty good job. I think they worked his leg. That was the weird thing about the show, too. They had like 4 different matches where they worked a leg.
Mm-hmm.
The Hype Bros match, the women's match, the tag titles match, and the WWE title match.
Mm-hmm.
So aside from like that one spot getting overworked all the time, it was a really good. It was good in all the matches. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But it was actually a pretty damn good match. I'm hearing rumors they're going to do a Punjabi prison match between these two. Listen, stop. You just had a pretty damn good match with Randy Orton and Jinder Mahal. You are not going to improve any more on this. I can guarantee you, especially not in a Punjabi prison match.
Oh man, this is so exciting.
Seriously, just quit while you're ahead.
No, this is going to be great, man.
If you mean in a so bad it's good kind of way, then maybe.
No, this is actually going to be the first great Punjabi prison match.
I am not seeing it, man.
I'm seeing it because I really like that they're bringing back gimmick concept matches from the mid-2000s, and the Punjabi prison is one of my personal favorites.
It got way too convoluted for me, but man, I really just want them to quit while they're ahead. Like, they're not going to get any better. But, yes, the WWE title match was actually far better than it had any right to be.
Mm-hmm. I really like the prepackaged video that they did with it, with the Jinder Mahal,
Yeah, I just hate how they're still making him heel because, I could honestly see this working far better with a little tweaking. Jinder being the baby face, who's representing the American dream for everybody. Everyone can overcome, and, Randy's this entitled legacy prick.
Mm-hmm. Well, Jinder's already got the support of basically 95% of the indie wrestling population, so hey, there you go.
Yeah. After that, I think it would have to be the tag title match.
Mm-hmm. Except for the fact that it had a horrific count-out finish.
Yeah, that was a bullcrap ending.
Look, continue, Sal.
I get they're going to continue the feud. I understand that. That still doesn't make me feel any better.
Oh, good Lord, this counted. I mean, if they went with a DQ finish, I would have been better. I would have been more fine with that, but I think they're going to try and go for a DQ finish second. or if they'll do a title switch at the next show.
Yeah, I'm thinking they're probably going to do a title switch because I think the next SmackDown pay-per-view is the SummerSlam one.
No, it's I think it's Battleground.
Oh, it is Battleground. You're right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, up until that point though, it was a really fun match. Which is honestly kind of another story of another match we'll get to, but you know.
And then there was the match that everyone was dreading, but actually turned out to be okay, which was the Ravishing Nightmare, Lana versus Naomi.
I honestly found this match to be really boring, which, I mean, it was saying it was really boring was better than I thought it would be. Naomi worked her ass off to carry Lana to something decent. It went like 5 minutes, and Naomi won. That's all I could ask for, and that's all I wanted.
Because there was interference from a certain someone we'll be talking about in a little bit. But first, we also want to talk about somebody else who debuted on this show. For those who don't know, Goon 1 and Maria Kanellis are in WWE.
Yes, the walking lump of clay that is Mike Bennett and his infinitely more talented wife that is Maria Kanellis. They are in WWE.
Not to be confused with the guy we talked about earlier, Kevin Bennett, who now has supreme reign of the name because now Mike Bennett is going under the name Mike Kanellis.
Yeah. My God, I swear, if that rumor about them being the reason Miz and Maurice are breaking up is true, I'm going to bury this company so hard.
Sure. But here's the thing. I actually am really excited about this because for those of you who have been living under a rock for years, you have no idea the kind of evil Maria Kanellis is capable of doing.
Yeah, Maria's a great character. It's that useless lump of clay she has to lug around with her.
Sure, but I'm actually very happy about the so-called useless lump of clay being in WWE because I like Mike Bennett.
I don't. I mean, I don't hate him. I just find him useless. Like I said,
he's a perfect aggravating New Englander.
Yeah. Well, he's useless, though. I mean, I can find so many better people. I think Duke said it best. You see that useless, annoying little person? Yeah, Eddie Edwards. Yeah, and behind him is someone even more useless than Mike Bennett.
Actually, I think that Mike Bennett's better than Eddie Edwards, but that's just me.
I mean, my God, I don't like Mike Bennett at all. He's just like, I mean, I guess you kind of had to sign him to get Maria back, but good Lord.
Mike was good in TNA. He actually was fairly decent in the company. He had some good matches. The thing is that he was stuck in a promotion that didn't really highlight his strengths that there is of him in Ring of Honor.
Wait, he has strengths?
Yeah. He is a very aggravating heel. He's very good at getting a crowd reaction behind him to get booed. Yeah. And his style of wrestling is perfect for WWE. He fits the WWE style like a glove.
Yeah. If there's any good thing about this, it's their theme song, which is total cheesy 80s like love power ballad. My God, is that theme just
It's a wonderful, wonderful theme, and it knocked Lana's theme off the top of the list.
Yeah. So, that one, my God, that one's a great theme. That's probably the best thing about it. Don't break up Miz and Maurice, you bastards. And now,
folks, let us talk about the thrashing that this last match will receive. Sal here will be doing the personal execution of the Money in the Bank women's match.
Yeah. So let's start with everything before what happened. The match up till the ending, it was actually really damn good. All of the women in that match gave it their all, and they made it really damn entertaining. That was like a 3.5-star match or whatever going into it. It was fun. They were trying, they made it look great. Then the useless, chinless asshole known as James Ellsworth comes in and takes out Becky. And I'm like, fine, spoilers predicted Carmella to win. I knew she was going to win. I knew he, as her manager, he was going to do some shit. Of course. Then he tries to get Carmella up because Carmella was taken out too. Carmella decides not to get up because apparently that isn't the finish. James looks at that, shrugs, and climbs the ladder and pulls down the Money in the Bank briefcase and drops it to Carmella. So in the very first women's Money in the Bank ladder match, a man wins it. A man. Yes, of course. Yes. Because this company is so stupid as to think we're going to be pissed at Ellsworth for this. No, I'm pissed at you, assholes. Seriously. This isn't like this is the God, I hate Ellsworth so much more now. I look at that and say, my God, WWE is so dense and stupid. And there are people saying, you're getting worked, bro. You're getting worked, bro. You're getting worked, bro. If you're falling back on fucking Vince Russo logic, you have lost.
Please take your commemorative getting hit in the face with a baseball bat right now.
Yeah, seriously. And then stuff on SmackDown happened. Daniel Bryan addressed this travesty of a situation, and he decided to vacate the women's Money in the Bank, and they're going to run the match again next week on SmackDown. Now, this has led to 3 schools of thought about what the whole idea was to begin with. The first school of thought is that the plan from the beginning was to have James climb up and then Bryan vacate the title thing and do pretty much a bait and switch to pop a huge rating for SmackDown, considering the ratings have been so bad. This is a theory me and Vidance seem to subscribe to. And if it's true, my God, you bastards are shameless. Completely and utterly shameless and terrible to the women you are. I am so hoping it isn't that. The second school of thought is that WWE, honestly, in their infinite wisdom and having their heads up their own asses, didn't expect people to be this pissed, even though they really should have been. So they completely retconned it and said, yeah, no, we're doing this over. Sorry, we screwed up. That's the best option out of all of this, sadly. The third is that WWE was always planning on having Carmella lose the briefcase, but the backlash was so bad it put them up and it made them do it now. And I think Reverend Kane, Andrew, and Swift subscribed to this one. And for number 2, I think KM Tierney and Crazy Chris subscribed to that one. So we're left with one of these. I'm on theory 1, that these bastards have gone full Russo booking from classic WCW, where they use the pay-per-view to pop a rating on TV, and this is what they're doing. That is terrible if true. I hope I'm wrong. I honestly hope I'm wrong, and I'm looking at I'm looking for like black helicopters or whatever. Because my God, that would be shameless. Like, just the slap in the face to all the hard work the women did with the decision to have Ellsworth climb up and win it. You know, like, who thought that was a good idea, Fizzy?
Well, I mean, the thing is that they've been building this Ellsworth angle that he knew that he was going to interfere in one of these major matches at some point for Carmella.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I knew he was going to interfere, but I was fine with him, like, helping her win, you know, taking a Becky or someone like he did, and then Carmella walking up and grabbing it. That's really all they had to do. I'm still pissed at Ellsworth because, my God, you bastard, you ruined this match. You helped her win. That's good heat because I'm mad at the character, not the company.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's all you had to change.
Mm-hmm.
But they're like, no, we got to get this heat. We got to get this heat. I'm not mad at him. I'm mad at you, the company.
The obsession with getting heel heat in 2017 through any means necessary is the thing that caused them to be literally, to have this thing literally blow up in their gosh dang faces.
And you're completely right. They're putting the brand before the people in terms of heat, in terms of star power, and it's killing them.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not just, I would say it's both, actually. The people are trying to get over as heels, and the brand is trying to get over as heels. They're all trying to get over as heels because they're finding it's very difficult to get heel heat at anybody.
Mm-hmm. I think it's more like they don't even want to bother writing faces anymore.
Well, you know? I mean, they're so, everybody is so, and this is the thing I've noticed, everybody is so jaded these days that they're like, well, who needs faces? This is all bad. This is all horrible. I'm just going to go sulk in this corner here and do nothing to improve myself. And just, everything's horrible. Duh. And that's how people these days are acting. They're not trying to self-improve themselves. They're not trying to make things better. Want to know what I've done since the election? Tried to improve things. I haven't been sitting around and moping. You want to know something, folks? You want to know? I said this before on Speaks on the year-end show. 2016 was a bad year for a lot of people. 2016 was one of the best years personally for me as far as podcasting is concerned. I ended up as the co-moderator of Cage Side Speaks to help carry off the burden that KM Tierney had when his life got an extra baby and the Aztec gods cursing his system. Okay? I ended up bringing this series now to its second anniversary this weekend. And helping Great Sean Reuter out with Cage Side Speaks. And this year, because I realized I had a lot of open weekdays, bring forth Fizzy's Wacky World of Wrestling. Found a great partner in Sal Cusmano to do this show with.
Oh, come on. I'm not that great.
Oh, man, dude, you've been consistent. You've been consistently good throughout this entire run of this revival so far, and our audience has responded. Like I said, we're really grateful for you folks to tune in on this broadcast. And for me, Money in the Bank will be getting a much, much deeper evisceration because there are quite a few more other people on this weekend's edition of Speaks who want to tear this pay-per-view limb from limb.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel so bad for people like Irish and Things and Stuff. My God.
Things and Stuff hated that segment. She hated that segment more than any other segment I've seen her watch ever.
Yeah, and I don't blame her because you know what? She was really looking forward to this.
Yes.
This was, and honestly, everyone should be pissed at this. And everyone's telling women, oh, no, don't feel pissed. It's fine. It's just a work. Fuck off. Don't tell them how to feel. This was something important to a lot of people.
Yes.
Like a lot of women who watch wrestling who felt, you know what? This might be a chance for the women to finally be treated equally in a way. And then they do this. This would be like in the first men's Money in the Bank. They had some random ass guy run down, take it, and grab it and throw it down, you know? And there's not even a really good comparison because nothing can really compare to the socio-political like issues at hand. You know, WWE doesn't treat its women right.
Yeah.
Let's be completely honest. They don't. Have they gotten better? Yes, but that's because they stopped calling them divas, which really isn't saying much in the long run. This company, you know, they don't have the benefit of the doubt. Like I was talking with Vidance about this. Like if they had treated the women treating the women really well, and this was like the third women's Money in the Bank match, then yeah, sure, I could see this being a good heel getting method. You know, because then you're mad at the performer because you know things have been going well. It's just an interesting storyline angle. This though, they have been treated like shit.
Yeah,
and then they do this. No. This is bad. And people saying you're getting worked. Screw off. Never say that to them again. You assholes.
Well, somebody's going to be turned into a handbag by Ginny.
Yeah.
Because when you do that to female wrestling fans, pay attention, folks. They listen.
Yeah.
Everybody pays attention. Female wrestling fans, female wrestlers, they pay attention. They cross their I's, dot their T's. Not every little username, every little person who said something wrong about women's wrestling and has said those words, oh, you shouldn't feel bad about this.
Yeah.
They'll be getting their revenge very soon.
Seriously, don't tell people how to feel about segments. That is one of the things that pisses me off to no end. Man, woman, whatever, never tell people how they should feel about something. People will always feel a certain way about something for some reason. It is not your place to tell them how to feel.
Yes. All you can do is you can voice your individual opinion as to this is how I feel about this segment. And if somebody feels this way or this other way, that's fine. That's what brings opinion and discussion into the realm of professional wrestling, and it is a very important thing to have. Not this whole closed-minded, well, you shouldn't feel that way about it just because this wasn't bad.
Yeah. No, that was terrible.
Yeah.
My God. And people acting like, yeah, no, it was good. It was good. No, stop. It wasn't good. Just This is what broke me on WWE this week, which apparently had a really good week in terms of shows. I heard Raw was actually pretty good and SmackDown was better than it happened in a while. I did watch NXT, which was awesome, but and that's what broke me and made me watch CMLL, which saved me really from boredom and anger.
Well, and I watched the day before watching Money in the Bank, I'd watched an independent wrestling shows. So, even before I watched this show, I had a great show to, watch beforehand.
Yep. But, WWE will probably be back in our lives next week.
Oh, yeah, certainly, because we've got a lot of catching up to do with the WWE related things next week on the next edition, which will be airing Friday the 30th. Okay, So we'll see what happens during that week, whatever crazy antics and crazy nonsense that WWE will be coming up with, or whatever else will be happening in the world of professional wrestling. And, well, this has been a trip to the Fairgrounds, episode 16 of Fizzy's Wacky World of Wrestling. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. Thanks to all of the independent workers who worked at the Severn Tier Wrestling Battle-lines show. You guys put on such a great show that we got to talk about it on this podcast.
Thanks to... Oh, I'll let you finish.
But continue.
All right. Well, thanks to Barbaro Cavanario and Volador Jr. Probably no way they hear this, but my God, you two rock.
Yeah, it was just awesome. These two souls got saved by independent wrestling this week from the crushing madness that was the worst segment ever.
Yep.
And folks, I will have more words on Money in the Bank. I wanted Sal to vent out his opinions on this particular edition of the show, because I will have words on this on Cage Side Speaks.
Yep. And some other good folks who will have some words later tonight are Crazy Chris and Curtain Jerker from Two Guys One Sports. Check them out. They're great people. And some people who had words on it on Wednesday for Wednesday Night Shooting was Tanya Rogers and Andrew Ann Swift. Check them out. They're good people. Pluggo, etc.
Yep. Them, Not Your Demographic, Rudo Radio, and Two Guys One Sports all have opinions on Money in the Bank. But this week's edition of Wacky World of Wrestling wanted to focus on something a little different. We did bring you a little thoughts on Money in the Bank, but that wasn't really the main focus of the show this week. Next week, I'm not really sure what we're doing. We're either going to be doing some more WWE related stuff. Maybe we'll take a look at the Donner Party of Professional Wrestling.
Yeah, who knows? Might as well. It's been so long since I've watched them. Might as well watch them. We'll be preparing right before vacation, so that'll be fun.
Yep.
So, yeah. As far as next week, we have no idea what we're doing, but we know there'll be a show. July 7th, it should be our sumo show. I'm hopefully going to be able to do it. I'm going to be on vacation. I might be golfing. I'm going to try and schedule out some time to be there. I might not. Just giving you guys all the heads up now.
Yep. Giving you all a heads up now, July 7th is a questionable date, so I might be looking for some individuals to possibly cover for the sumo show.
Yep. But, I really hope I can make it because sumo is awesome and we should watch it. But, I think it was good that we got to go down south of the border and explore more of the wacky world that is this professional wrestling since, we talked Japanese and sumo, and now we've talked Mexico and CMLL. So,
and that's exactly the name of the show, Wacky World of Wrestling. It works with the world of professional wrestling and, from the biggest company, World Wrestling Entertainment, to the littlest indies in Frewsburg, New York.
And to the oldest going around, CMLL. We want to thank you guys for joining us on this whirlwind tour of wrestling.
Have a great day or night, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next time for Wacky World of Wrestling. Reminder, folks, tomorrow is Speaks, so I'll see you sooner rather than later, and we'll see you back again. Me and Sal will see you back again next week for the latest edition of Wacky World of Wrestling. Until then, bye, folks.
Have a nice day, everybody.